On the train, I was sitting beside an extremely beautiful woman. It was supposed to be an ordinary journey, but the scene on her phone plunged me into the tempestuous waves of life. In the video, a naked man and woman were having sex. At first, the scene playing on her phone made me think it was an embarrassing adult video. Out of politeness, I gently reminded her to keep it down. However, without even looking up, she coldly replied, "What adult video? This is the surveillance of my home." The look she gave me was as cold as an ice knife, but I didn't pay much attention, just feeling a bit uncomfortable in my heart. However, when I accidentally caught a glimpse of the familiar succubus tattoo on the woman in the surveillance, my world instantly collapsed. God, isn't this my girlfriend, Sophia? I widened my eyes, unable to believe what I was seeing. I snatched her phone, and my fingers trembled uncontrollably. On the screen, the naked woman was clearly Sophia, who had been my childhood sweetheart, with whom I had been in love for many years and was supposed to get married next month. She was kneeling in front of a man, with a glaring white chain around her neck. Such an unbearable scene hit my heart like a heavy hammer. I felt as if my heart was torn apart, and the cold wind was howling into that gap. I had actually been cheated on by her. The beauty beside me looked puzzled and teased. "Are you really that excited? Could it be that you've never seen such an exciting scene before?" She rested her chin in her hand, looking at me with great interest. Angry and annoyed, I retorted, "This is indeed the first time I've seen Sophia from this angle." Cut the sarcasm. The overly shocking scene and the beauty's harsh teasing made my stomach churn. Finally, I couldn't help it and whoosh, vomited out. It landed right on the beauty's skirt. "How exciting!" she exclaimed, quickly covering her mouth and nose, jumping up reflexively, and rushing straight to the toilet. A few minutes later, she came out with a wet skirt, her eyes filled with hatred. But I couldn't care less at this moment. The train had arrived at the station, and I just wanted to find Sophia immediately and get an explanation, and I wouldn't even be satisfied if I didn't slap her face to a pulp. I asked the beauty through gritted teeth, "Where do you live? Take me there now." She looked at me suspiciously. "Why? Didn't you have enough of watching just now? Do you want to go and see it on the spot?" I glared at her. "Don't you want to see it?" She pouted, "Of course I do, but what does it have to do with you? If you have such needs, I can give you a website." I was angry and anxious. Although I tried to control myself, my hands still couldn't stop shaking. She seemed to realize that I was in a bad mood and finally reacted, "Brother, it can't be such a coincidence, can it? That woman couldn't be your..." I said word by word through gritted teeth, "Yes, she's my girlfriend, the one I'm supposed to marry next month." She gasped and gave me a sympathetic look, saying, "My condolences." I said irritably, "Cut the crap. We've both been betrayed by the people we love. Let's not talk about each other, okay?" I put on my coat and stood up, asking her, "So, shall we go? Let's catch them in the act." She immediately replied, "Catch them, definitely. Let's go." On the way, I learned that this beauty was named Olivia, and the man in the surveillance was her fiancé. She was supposed to be taking care of her sick mother in the neighboring city. Because it was her fiancé's birthday, she wanted to come back to celebrate with him, but she never expected to see this unbearable scene. After telling her story, Olivia pursed her lips and asked me, "What about you? What are you doing here?" My mood was heavy, and I had no interest in chatting. I casually made up an excuse. The fortune teller said I'd have a green glow above my head today, so I came to see if it was true. In fact, I came to discuss the wedding with Sophia next month. After all, there were so many trivial matters for the wedding that it couldn't be clearly discussed over the phone or WeChat. Olivia looked at the surveillance video on her phone and exclaimed in wonder, "It still hasn't ended. I have to say, your girlfriend really has a good figure. But, does she usually have such a heavy taste?" A bitter feeling welled up in my heart, and I forced a smile uglier than crying, unable to say a word. Because when Sophia was with me, she was completely different. I couldn't believe that the person in the surveillance was Sophia. It felt like I had never really known her. Olivia kept chattering, look, candles and whips are out. Look at your girlfriend's sexy butt. I even want to spank it." Olivia held the phone in front of me. I angrily growled, "Keep your voice down. Is this something to be proud of?" Olivia said indifferently, "What? Don't you think this is exciting? You think everyone can encounter this? This is such a wonderful life experience." I just thought Olivia was a bit crazy. I turned to look at the scenery passing by outside the window and only then realized that my heart was pounding and my palms were full of sweat. I couldn't help but ask myself, was I really ready to catch them in the act? What should I say when I saw Sophia later? Forget it, I'd better not say anything and just start fighting. With my emotions like this, I wouldn't be able to quell my anger if I didn't beat her until her own mother couldn't recognize her. Following Olivia's directions, the car soon drove into a villa area. Wait, isn't this the famous wealthy area in California? So Olivia was a rich heiress. Then what about her boyfriend? I thought to myself but immediately interrupted myself. James, are you crazy? Is this the time to think about this? Take care of yourself first. Before I could speak, Olivia said, calm down. Catching someone in the act gets easier the more you do it. When we open the door later, you must stay calm. Don't do anything extreme. It's not worth ruining your future for a slut. I rubbed the center of my brows and replied helplessly, okay, I'll do as you say. Looking at her calm appearance, I blurted out, why do you seem so experienced? Olivia proudly raised her head, don't ask. Just say that I'm a woman with a story. Indeed, there was no time to ask more. We arrived at Olivia's home. After getting out of the car, Olivia stood at the door, hesitant to go in. Instead, she took out her phone and called home, hello, brother, I'm back. Come downstairs and open the door for me. The voice on the other end of the phone became obviously flustered. Olivia, why are you back? Didn't Auntie finish the surgery next week? Olivia replied, there was a last-minute change. What, aren't you happy I'm back? The other side quickly said, of course not. Wait a minute. Olivia asked, what are you doing? Why does your voice sound strange? The other side stammered, me. I'm running. Olivia said, okay, I'll wait for you. Hurry up. I looked at Olivia speechlessly and asked, can't you just open the door? Why are you being so childish? Olivia snorted, what's the rush? Look how scared these two are. The surveillance showed that the naked two were frantically putting on clothes at this time. I watched as Sophia panicked and got under the bed. Her funny appearance made me feel a sad kind of amusement. I deliberately dialed Sophia's phone and asked her, where are you? Why didn't you answer the phone just now? Sophia lowered her voice and said, I'm getting my hair done. Didn't I tell you yesterday? Don't call me if you have nothing to do. I'll find you when I'm done. Bye for now. Fine, I wanted to see how Sophia would finish and whether she could come out unscathed. Olivia asked, are you ready? I took a deep breath and said firmly, yes, open the door. With a beep, the fingerprint unlock was successful, and a man in shorts and a shirt instantly appeared in our sight. His clothes were messy, the trouser legs were turned out, and one button of his shirt was buttoned wrong. I looked around and immediately saw a pair of black stockings sticking out from the wardrobe. I didn't need to look closely to know it was the pair Sophia had worn. At this time, a strong fishy smell filled the room, making people nauseous. Thinking of the intense scenes in the surveillance, my stomach churned again. When the man saw us, he casually smoothed his hair and pretended to be calm, saying, oh, honey, you could have come in by yourself. You just asked me to come down and open the door. After seeing me, he asked, may I ask who this gentleman is? Olivia replied, he's here to catch you cheating. The other side looked surprised and asked, what did you say? Olivia said loudly, I said he's here with me to catch you cheating. David, it's all over. There's no need to pretend anymore, is there? This man named David visibly panicked but still insisted, what am I pretending? Olivia, what do you mean? You don't suspect that I'm having an affair at home, do you? Olivia sneered, isn't that the case? David retorted, what evidence do you have? Olivia took out her phone and showed the surveillance video. I installed cameras at home long ago. You really thought I was a fool, David. How did you promise me last time? Have you forgotten? As she spoke, Olivia winked at me. I understood and immediately bent down and bang, flipped the mattress over. Just like that, Sophia, with a chain still around her neck, was embarrassingly exposed in front of us. It's not what you think, honey. Listen to me explain. David stepped forward and grabbed Olivia's hand, forcefully arguing, she's a bed salesperson. She was just measuring the size of our bed underneath. I don't know her at all, baby. I love you so much. How could I possibly? With a bang, I pulled him over and punched him in the face, scolding, I've had enough. I just said there were cameras in the room. With cameras, what are you still arguing about? Do you think we're all stupid? He was stunned by my punch, and so were Olivia and Sophia beside him. I completely lost my mind and didn't care about anything. Thinking about my relationship with Sophia over the years, our wedding next month, and the fact that she had betrayed me, and seeing her hiding under this man's bed at this moment, all the blood in my body rushed to my head. The moment I met Sophia's eyes, this anger reached its peak. I tightly held the golf club that I had picked up just now and, following the way of hitting a golf ball, swung it hard, scolding, weren't you getting your hair done? What, as long as there's hair, it counts as a hairstyle? After being together for so long, I never knew you had a side job as a prostitute. You make me sick, Sophia. A woman like you should be slapped away. I kept hitting and scolding, completely out of control. David was scared stiff and tried to come up and pull me. I punched him back, smashed a wine bottle on the table, and then, holding the broken bottle handle, continuously hit him in a certain part of his body. Soon, he collapsed to the ground and couldn't move at all. Sophia cried out, "James, calm down. Listen to me, okay?" Sophia tightly hugged my arm and sobbed, "It's not what you think between me and him." I angrily scolded, "Then what is it?" "I saw it, Sophia. I saw it with my own eyes. You've been making a fool of me. How dare you ask me to calm down? Calm down, my ass." I clenched the bottle and slapped her in the face. Aya, her desolate wail echoed in the room, and the next second, she lay on the ground, unable to stand up. Sophia hysterically shouted, "You're crazy, James." I gritted my teeth, "Yes, I'm crazy." "You drove me crazy." She asked, "Do you know what you're doing?" I sneered, "Of course I know. I want your life. Isn't it obvious?" Looking at Sophia, who was trembling with pain and pale-faced, I roared, "I've been with you for 8 years, Sophia. 8 years. You know how I've treated you in these 8 years. We were about to get married. I lost all my dignity to marry you. Is this how you repay me?" Thinking of all the past, I could no longer control my emotions and burst into tears. Unexpectedly, at this time, Olivia, who was watching from the side, suddenly touched my arm and whispered, "Don't cry, friend. I'm live streaming right now. If you cry, you'll lose your momentum." I looked at her in shock and asked, "What? You're live streaming?" Seeing that the number of viewers in Olivia's phone live broadcast room had soared to over 1 million, I was completely speechless. After I reacted, I raised the golf club and frantically questioned her, "Why are you live streaming? Did you get my permission? Do you know this is a serious violation of my privacy? Do you believe I can kill you with one hit?" Olivia quickly said, "Don't do this, friend. Don't hurt me." I gritted my teeth, "Who are you calling friend? I'm not your friend." Although I still hadn't fully accepted this fact, it had indeed happened. At this moment, with conclusive evidence, Sophia was lying in front of me in disheveled clothes, and the man she cheated with was lying opposite me. Forget it, so be it. If I'm cuckolded, then I'm cuckolded. Anyway, no matter how sad or I am, I won't die. As long as I don't die, there's always a way to get over this, always a way to let it go and start a new life. Thinking of this, I suddenly became much calmer. Sophia, after all, is just a woman. If she's dirty, just throw her away like garbage. Why bother to figure out why she's dirty, how she got dirty, and what to do after she's dirty? There's really no need. However, just as I was thinking, a female voice came, "Hello, 911. Someone is injured here. Woo-woo, please come quickly." My thoughts were disrupted by Sophia's cries. I then realized that David was still lying on the ground, trembling with pain, and his pants were stained red with a large patch of blood. Without accident, he was really going to have an accident this time. I sneered at Sophia and said, "Why are you calling 911? Are you afraid you won't be able to use his tool in the future?" I was so angry that I slapped Sophia down to the ground again and scolded through gritted teeth, "If you had called the police directly, I might not have looked down on you so much. But look at you now. You're disgusting." Sophia covered her face and cried, curling up in the corner. David said weakly, "Olivia." He looked at Olivia with a pale face and helplessness. "Olivia, you just watch me being humiliated like this. Save me." Olivia rolled her eyes, "But what he said is right, David. You really are disgusting." David stammered, How can you treat me like this?" Olivia replied, "I've wanted to treat you like this for a long time. You know how many times you've cheated in these years, don't you? I didn't expose you to give your father face. This time, you brought it on yourself. Don't blame me." David replied weakly, "But we have a marriage contract. Your group can't do without the help of our family." Olivia replied, "That was in the past. Now it's not certain." David asked in pain, "What do you mean?" She said, "Don't worry, David. You'll know soon enough." "Fine, let them argue here." I had a headache and needed to leave. After walking out of the villa, I found that my hand was numb from using too much force. It seems that losing control of emotions is really scary. You never know what you'll do in a fit of rage, but it did feel good to vent my anger. A voice came from behind, "Wait a minute, friend." Olivia chased after me. I turned around and just saw 911 taking the injured Sophia and David to the ambulance. I asked, "What's the matter?" Aren't you going to the hospital? Olivia looked at me in confusion. Why would I go if you don't? You're the main culprit, okay. Fine, whatever. Olivia continued to ask, friend, how are you so fierce just now? Have you practiced? I replied, no, I just have more strength from working out all year round. Olivia then asked, but you hit them so hard. Aren't you afraid of crippling them? I smiled, they won't be crippled. I'm a doctor. I know what I'm doing. Olivia said, but David's that. I replied, you mean that? Well, it probably won't work anymore. Do you have anything else? Olivia then said, yes. She took out her phone and showed the QR code, add me on WeChat, friend. You said we've both been betrayed by the people we love. This is a fated encounter. It would be unreasonable not to be friends, right? I shook my head, no need. We won't see each other again. Olivia said, you never know. She directly ran in front of me, blocking my way, as if she wouldn't let me go if I didn't add her. Fine, then add her. Anyway, everyone I met today is not normal. I'm too lazy to argue. Goodbye, friend. Nice to meet you, she shouted at my back. I waved my hand in response and walked forward with big steps. On my way home, my phone was ringing off the hook. I didn't even need to check to know that this matter must have spread and gone viral on the internet, and all my relatives and friends surely knew about it. The internet these days is truly terrifying. In just half a day, Olivia and I, two complete strangers, were affectionately dubbed the cuckold duo by netizens, and some even started shipping us as a couple. Netizens commented, I don't care. I think Green friend and Green hat sister are a perfect match. I think so too. What a strange and fresh couple. It's the first time I've seen something like this in my life. My God, Green friend is so cool. Watching him deal with that scumbag guy and the slutty girl was so satisfying. It's definitely a great revenge story. I'd call it the revenge story of the year. Thanks. Green friend saved my sanity. Looking at these countless comments about me, my head was about to explode. What the hell is this? That damned Olivia, what was she doing live streaming for? Now it's out of control. So what if I was cheated on? But being cuckolded and having everyone know about it, is that something to be proud of? I can already imagine how people around me will look at me when I get back. Oh right, and my parents, they. Just as I was thinking, the phone rang again. It was my parents calling. I took a deep breath, tried to calm myself down, and prepared myself to be scolded head on. I said, hello, Mom. My mom angrily said, so you still know to answer the phone. Do you know how much trouble you've caused? You've become a celebrity now, and you've completely embarrassed your parents. I asked, what embarrassment have I caused? Didn't Sophia do me wrong first? My mom replied, how dare you say that? Family scandals should be kept within the family. Is it something to be proud of that everyone knows you've been cuckolded? And you hit her so hard. Won't you feel bad looking at her in the future? I was stunned. I really didn't understand what my mom meant. After such a big thing happened, did she still expect me to marry Sophia? I interrupted, wait a minute, Mom. What exactly are you planning to do by saying all this? My mom said, don't worry about what I'm planning. Where are you now? I said, I'm on the high-speed train on my way home. My mom said angrily, go back. Sophia's parents have rushed to the hospital. You go there too. When you get there, be sweet-tongued and apologize to them properly. As she spoke, she even started crying and added, look at you. You've been with Sophia for so many years, and you were about to get married. Now this has happened. How are you going to live in the future? I said speechlessly, I'm definitely breaking up with Sophia. My mom said in surprise, break up? What nonsense are you talking? Isn't there always some friction in life? Sophia has been with you for so long. If you just abandon her like this, who will want her in the future? A man should be magnanimous. No one is perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. Don't write her off completely. This is real life, not a novel. There aren't so many ideal situations. Hearing this, I was so angry that I felt like my lungs were about to burst. I really didn't want to argue. I was too tired, so I just hung up the phone. They kept calling relentlessly, and I kept hanging up. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore and had to temporarily block them, including calls from my aunts and uncles using their phones. Thinking about it carefully, this is mainly my fault. I was the one who forced my parents to agree to my relationship with Sophia back then. We were childhood sweethearts, and I had chased her for many years. At first, my parents didn't think much of Sophia. because Sophia grew up in a single-parent family. Her father cheated on her current stepmother, which drove her mother to commit suicide by jumping off a building. This incident left her with a serious psychological shadow, making her afraid to fall in love, let alone get married. In Sophia's eyes, marriage was a misfortune, and loving someone came at a price. It wasn't until she was with me that Sophia said I was her savior, that marrying me was the greatest blessing from heaven, that she never wanted to be separated from me, and that the succubus tattoo on her body was proof. Sophia said at that time, "James, you're the only master I'll recognize in my life. I'll love you forever and follow you forever." We were really happy once. This happiness deceived many people, including my parents. Eventually, they not only agreed to our relationship but also tacitly regarded us as a married couple without a wedding for the time being. Their values were that life was about daily necessities, and many things could be overlooked. Even after witnessing Sophia's infidelity, they still took it for granted that I would forgive her. But how could that be possible? Absolutely not. I returned home in a daze. Looking at the unread messages and missed calls on my phone, I felt a sense of suffocation. I really didn't know how to face these people, nor could I tell who was sincere and who was just watching the joke. So I simply turned off my phone and ignored everything. Unexpectedly, when I woke up the next day, I received a message from Olivia. She said, "Friend, latest news. Your girlfriend's face is disfigured, and it's hard to repair." Ha ha ha. I rolled my eyes in annoyance and said, "What do you mean, my girlfriend? Who are you calling names?" Olivia then said, sorry. Also, I want to thank you." I asked, "For what?" She said, "Thank you for beating David up for me. He's completely useless now." I said speechlessly, "You're welcome. It was nothing." Olivia then asked, "Are you free these days? To show my gratitude, I'd like to invite you to dinner." I replied, "No need." Then I put the phone aside and ignored her. I simply got myself together and went to work at the hospital. To my surprise, the way my colleagues looked at me had all changed. There was sympathy, gossip, awe, and even disdain. Mark from our department saw me and came running over eagerly, saying, "James, are those things on the internet true?" I asked, "What things?" He said, "The things about you and the eldest princess of the Olivia family. They say it was a carefully planned scheme by you two to break up the business marriage between the Olivia family group and the David family group." I said speechlessly, "What nonsense is this? Have you been reading too many novels? Say something I can understand." He said, "Look for yourself." I took the phone Mark handed me and was almost blinded by the content on it. Are the media really risking their lives? They actually said that the live-streamed scene of catching the cheating was personally designed by Olivia, the eldest princess of the Olivia family, and that I was just an actor she hired with money. Her goal was to ruin the marriage and even the David family group. I don't even know Olivia, okay? I'm not interested in these baseless news at all. A clean hand wants no washing. Unexpectedly, Mark suddenly exclaimed, "I remember, James." I said this daughter of the Olivia family seems so familiar. She came to our hospital before, and I told you about it. I asked, "When?" He said, "About a few months ago." I can't be wrong because she's a great beauty, and I even took a picture of her. "Let me show you." As he spoke, he quickly flipped through the photo album on his phone and then showed it to me. It was really Olivia. When I saw the shooting date, my scalp went numb instantly. That day happened to be the anniversary of my confession to Sophia. She came to wait for me to get off work and we were going to the restaurant I reserved. I was holding a big bunch of roses at that time. Is it possible that this scene was seen by Olivia? If so, it means that Olivia had long known that Sophia was the woman his fiancé David was cheating with. Then she secretly investigated me and even followed me, just to keep track of my relationship with Sophia. When the time was right, she used me to expose their affair to the public. And I was just a pawn in her game, acting blindly. In this way, she successfully broke off the engagement with the David family group, damaged the reputation of the David family group, and whether I lived or died had nothing to do with her. I didn't dare to think further. I got goosebumps all over my body. I felt like I had been involuntarily drawn into an invisible big net, and before I could even struggle, I might end up dead without a burial place. But why should I? Just then, the director came over. He said that the incident on the internet had caused a huge stir and had seriously affected the hospital's reputation. He suggested that I go home and rest for a few days. Coincidentally, I was also planning to ask for leave, so I decided to go find Olivia and get some answers. Unexpectedly, as soon as I walked out of the hospital gate, my mom came running over furiously, trying to slap me in the face. I grabbed her wrist and said speechlessly, "What on earth do you want?" My mom said angrily, "You've got some nerve, James. You actually dared to block your parents, not go home, and not visit your fiancé in the hospital. It should be me asking you what you're trying to do." I said with a bitter smile, "Mom, at this point, do you still think I'll marry her?" My mom continued, "Otherwise. Who was it that begged us to agree to your relationship with her? I'm telling you, things have developed to this point, and you have to take responsibility. You have to marry her, whether you like it or not." I was really fed up with my mom. She was completely unreasonable. I rolled my eyes and tried to walk past her, saying, "You don't get to decide this. I'd rather be alone for the rest of my life than marry her." My mom shouted at me, "Fine, if you don't marry her, I'll kill myself." I was extremely helpless. As I was speaking, she suddenly rushed towards the traffic like crazy, as if she didn't care about her life. My scalp was tingling with worry. I grabbed her and pretended to agree, saying, Okay. Don't do this. I promise, all right." My mom asked in disbelief, "Are you serious?" I nodded helplessly and replied, "Serious." She said, "Then go to the hospital to see her now. Apologize to her properly, and the wedding next month will proceed as planned." I was speechless. She was like a programmed robot, insisting that I marry Sophia. I've seen girls helping girls, but I've never seen a mother sacrificing her son to help someone. I even started to doubt if I was really her biological child. How could she have the heart to push me into such a mess? After arriving at the hospital, she first asked the doctor about Sophia's injuries. After confirming that the facial injuries could be repaired through plastic surgery, she heaved a sigh of relief. Then she turned to apologize to Sophia's mother. After all, our two families were old acquaintances. If we fell out, it would be embarrassing for everyone. Sophia's mother had a very bad attitude. When she saw me, she scolded me mercilessly. "So what if Sophia had an affair? What's the big deal? Why are you so petty?" I said speechlessly, "So you mean it's no big deal if I cheat on your daughter with a mistress?" Sophia's mother angrily retorted, "Can that be the same? Men should be more lenient towards women. Do you know how much pain a woman endures during childbirth? You're a man, you don't have to go through that. And you're not even married yet. Don't care what she did before marriage. As long as she's devoted to you after marriage, isn't that enough? What good does it do you to hurt her like this? You haven't come to comfort her or apologize to her these past few days. This is really outrageous. James, you were the one who insisted on chasing our Sophia, saying you liked her and would marry no one else. Have you forgotten all that?" I replied, "I haven't forgotten." I paused and continued, "But you need to understand. First of all, who stipulated that just because a woman gives birth, a man has to be lenient? Does the law say so? If a woman doesn't want to give birth, she doesn't have to. It's not like she's giving birth only for the man. As a contractualist, I can never understand this kind of logic. A contract can only be formed when both parties' wills coincide. One party proposes, and the other party agrees, then obligations and responsibilities are formed. Otherwise, it's like forced buying and selling. If one party feels that they are at a disadvantage in some aspect, they can negotiate for an exchange of interests, or they can refuse to suffer the loss and just leave. But you can't say that just because I feel at a disadvantage in some aspect, you must accept it and also make concessions in other aspects. I continued, "Secondly, just because I chased Sophia first doesn't mean I gave her a free pass. Me chasing her first is not a reason for her to cuckold me. To be honest, I'm not at all surprised that you raised a daughter like Sophia, because you're not a good person either." Sophia's mother gritted her teeth. You. She raised her hand to slap me, but I pushed her away. She got up and tried to pull me, but suddenly someone grabbed the corner of her clothes. "Mom, what are you doing? Let him go." It was Sophia who had woken up. At this time, her head and face were still wrapped in bandages, with bruises and some places still oozing blood. She looked really terrifying. Sophia, looking angry, asked the elders to leave, saying she had something to talk to me about. Great, the discomfort in my mind now turned into physical discomfort. That familiar feeling of nausea came back. She said, "James, you finally came to see me." She looked at me happily and added, "You're willing to listen to my explanation and give me a chance, right?" I said speechlessly, "What else do you have to explain? I just don't understand, Sophia. Why do you have to treat me like a fool?" She said, "I didn't. It's not what you think between me and David. It's just," I said, "just a physical relationship. Are you trying to say that if there's no emotional infidelity, it doesn't count as cheating, right?" Sophia nodded and said, "James, our world is false, just a form. The spiritual world is the real one. Think about it. For example, when I say vase, the vases you see come in all shapes and sizes, long or short, tall or low. But when we think of the concept of vase, a vase is a container for flowers, and this concept never changes. We all know that truth is eternal and unique, and only the false changes. So the vases of different heights in reality are fake, and the vase for flowers in our mind is the unchanging and real one. Do you understand? You really shouldn't take the material world so seriously. I tried my best to hold back the urge to slap her again and listen to her continue. Sophia continued, I was really just impulsive with him. He said I was getting married next month, and if I didn't have some fun, it would be too late. After all, the consequences of cheating after marriage would be more serious. I thought that physical pleasure was just a false illusion, and it wasn't worth taking too seriously. It would pass, so I agreed. I was so angry that my head was buzzing. I gritted my teeth and said, shut up. Concepts are just a result of analyzing and synthesizing the characteristics of things. So there's the material first, and then the concept. Okay, I don't want to listen to your semantic tricks anymore. Are you saying these things just to disgust me? My emotions were gradually getting out of control. Sophia, I'm telling you, no matter how much you try to quibble, I'll never forgive you again. Just looking at you makes me want to vomit. You're the biggest stain in my life. Sophia asked, so, you still insist on breaking up, right? I replied, of course. Sophia's attitude suddenly turned cold, and she said, could it be because of that Olivia? You've loved me for so many years and were so eager to marry me. How could you break up so easily? Tell me the truth. Is it because of Olivia? My patience had reached its limit. I didn't want to say another word to her. I turned around and walked towards the door of the ward. Sophia shouted behind me, do you think she's a good person? Don't be stupid. She's been using you from the beginning, James. We've both been played by her. According to what Sophia knew, Olivia and David met while studying abroad. The two families were business rivals. But David fell in love with Olivia at first sight and begged his family to arrange their marriage. Coincidentally, at that time, the Olivia family group was in financial trouble and urgently needed an injection of capital. The David family group offered help on the condition of marriage, resolving the financial crisis of the Olivia family. Since then, this matter has become a handle for David to control Olivia. He thought that the Olivia family group owed him a favor, and no matter how excessive things he did, Olivia couldn't do anything to him. This was probably the reason why he had affairs with so many women. But what did this have to do with me? Why should I, without knowing anything, become a part of their game? Who would compensate me for my losses? Just as I was thinking, I suddenly received a call from Olivia. It was just in time. I was also planning to go find her and ask her about these things face to face. Olivia was quite straightforward and admitted everything. The situation was basically as I guessed. But why could Olivia tolerate David fooling around with so many women, yet she couldn't stand it when it came to Sophia? Olivia's answer to this was, the time was right. Our Olivia family is no longer shackled by the David family. We even have evidence of their crimes. I asked, what else is this related to? Olivia said, this is also the reason why David doesn't dare to take revenge on you. Ah, right. I had injured him, and quite severely, perhaps even rendering him infertile. No wonder he let it go. So it was the Olivia family operating behind the scenes. I then asked, what about those fake news online saying that you and I colluded to frame him? Did he release them to fight back against you, or did you play the trick of cry out stop thief while being the thief and deliberately make this matter bigger? Olivia shook her head and said, that doesn't matter. She pursed her lips and smiled. You just need to know that I achieved my goal. Olivia really did achieve her goal, and it was almost perfect. She not only successfully broke off the engagement with David and got rid of the control of the David family group but also took this opportunity to damage their reputation. At the same time, by taking advantage of the public's sympathy for her, she enhanced the prestige, popularity, and influence of the Olivia family group. Thanks to that live stream, Olivia gained more than 5 million followers and became an internet celebrity overnight. It seemed like she had taken all the benefits at once. But what about me? I was truly a pawn being used from start to finish. Thinking about the impact this matter had on me and how I was being calculated and used, I was instantly filled with rage. Just as I was about to curse Olivia out, she suddenly came over with a glass of red wine and said, friend, calm down. Listen to me first. I took the glass, ready to smash it, but Olivia said, don't waste it. It's very expensive. A sip is worth hundreds of thousands. I was speechless. A rush of anger was stuck in my chest, and I felt like I was about to suffocate. Olivia continued, whether I live streamed or not, Sophia's infidelity is a fact, right? It's not a bad thing to see her true colors in time. It's better than finding out after getting married. It was my fault not to inform you in advance, but look at it from another perspective. This matter going viral online isn't necessarily bad. At least we became famous, right? I asked, what's the use of being famous? Everyone knows I was cuckolded by my fiancé. What's so good about this reputation? Olivia continued, what's the big deal? It wasn't you who cheated. You're just the victim. Do you know how many followers my account gained because of that live stream? More than 5 million. I asked, so what? Olivia looked at me and said, monetize it. We can start making money. What she said made me a bit dazed. She continued, anyway, you know I'm a wealthy heiress. I don't lack money at all. I can set up a company, hire the most professional team to operate this account, and you can be the boss. All the money we earn will be yours. I've even thought of a name, Green Friend and Green Hat Sister. Cool, right? Seeing my hesitation, Olivia continued to persuade, actually, I know you don't really like being a doctor. You were forced by your parents to study medicine, right? Since that's the case, why not try a new field, like making short videos? You were so imposing that day. You could not only make short videos but even act in action movies. If you're interested in that, I can also ask my dad to invest in a movie for you to star in. I said speechlessly, come on, stop painting me a rosy picture. Forget it. Do you think I'll believe whatever you say? Since you claim to be a rich heiress with no lack of money, then transfer $2 million to me first to show your strength. Consider it as compensation for my mental distress. Olivia snorted. That's too small-minded. I'll give you $5 million. Just as I was about to retort that she was making empty promises, she immediately said, I'll give you cash. It was not until sacks of money appeared in my home that I believed Olivia was not joking. I lay on the money, looking at the ceiling, feeling a bit dazed. Was this really happening? Had I really become a millionaire just like that? Had Olivia really been calculating me? Later, Olivia proved with her actions that she was serious about doing short video self-media. She registered a cultural media company called the Deep Bond of Cuckold Friends. As she said, the popularity of that account remained high. Netizens were enthusiastic about shipping Green Friend and Green Hat Sister as a CP, and many even suggested that we debut immediately. Just as I was hesitating whether to quit my job and work with her, I learned that Sophia went to my home right after she was discharged from the hospital. Sophia easily persuaded my mom again to agree to our marriage. Is this going to be endless? I turned around, ready to go and settle the score with her, but Olivia suddenly grabbed me and said, don't always be so tough. For a woman like Sophia, being forceful won't work. Leave it to me to handle. Not long after, I heard that several boys were pursuing Sophia, but she refused to accept them and still couldn't forget me. However, whenever those boys heard Sophia mention looking for me, they would lose control of their emotions. She had no choice but to not even mention my name. Later, I heard that she seemed to have contracted some dirty disease, and her health completely deteriorated. It was estimated that no man would be willing to marry her for the rest of her life. Given her physical condition, she probably didn't have many days left. As for David, the David family group was on the verge of bankruptcy after Olivia's actions. The main responsible person was also sent to prison due to tax problems. This meant that he was no longer the arrogant rich second generation. Presumably, David regretted meeting Olivia and even more so, falling in love with her. But life is like a one-way journey. No matter what, there's no turning back. We can only keep moving forward. So, I finally decided to let go of the past and form a CP with Olivia to shoot short videos online. She did what she promised and gave me all the earnings. In a short period, I achieved financial freedom. My parents could no longer control my life. Instead, they started to persuade me to have a real relationship with Olivia. Netizens also often wondered whether we had a script or if our relationship was real. I didn't explain too much. After all, I still had many questions unanswered. For example, why did Olivia choose to cooperate with me? How did she know so much about me? When did she start paying attention to me? Was her affection for me really just that of a cuckold friend? I didn't know the answers to these questions at all. I only knew that she had used me and then compensated me handsomely with money. And I was quite satisfied with my current life. That was enough. I could think about other things later.